What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Jose once again from PetRockMedia.com, back with a new video. And in today's video, we are going to discuss the announcements that came out of the Fuji X Summit, which aired yesterday, September the 2nd, 2021. And man, we've got some pretty decent announcements that I'm pretty excited about. So let's go ahead and talk about them. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here and this type of content excites you about cameras, photography, cinematography, and so forth, just overall geeking out and teching out, then this is the channel for you. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, punch that bell icon, and when you do, be sure you hit all for the notifications so that way YouTube does its job and sends you out those notifications when we post videos, content, or go live on this channel. And once again, if you like this video, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. So yesterday, Fujifilm dropped some pretty amazing products on us at their X Summit on September the 2nd, 2021. One of the ones that got me pretty excited was the brand new quote-unquote kit lens that they're going to be attaching to the brand new GFX 50S Mark II, was that new GF lens that they announced. That lens is a 35-70, f4.5 to 5.6, and I've got some notes over here, which kind of translates to probably a 2.8 to 4, which pretty much in line with like their Fuji X, like the XT1, 2, 3, and 4, that kit lens, that 18 to 55. This is pretty similar, that 2.8 to f4, except this is in the GF mount lens. As I mentioned, it's most likely going to be kitted with the new 50S Mark II. Pretty much gets rid of, unless you really are a fan of primes, the 50mm pancake lens. The 50R, which we just recently sold on eBay, that a lot of times came kitted with the 50mm pancake, which turned it into a 40mm equivalent 2.8. It was a 3.5, so it was a 2.8 equivalent lens, 40mm equivalent on full frame. So it's my opinion that this lens is almost going to kind of cannibalize that lens, if you will, but it's still going to be a pretty amazing lens to have and some pretty decent zoom range, because what I'm looking at it is Fuji is trying to really market these GFX, these medium format bodies, as their version of like a full frame camera. I highly doubt Fujifilm will ever go full frame. They have started to really bring to more of a reality for a lot of individuals, medium format, and it's relatively inexpensive entry points such as the 50R, now the 50S Mark II, even the GFX 100S. When you look at medium format cameras, traditionally they have not been this inexpensive, if you will. Pretty expensive still, considering, you know, some of the XTs and the T30s and whatnot, but still, for medium format, an amazing entry point price wise when it comes to medium format for Fuji. So right now you can pre-order all of these. I'm going to leave those links down below as well. But the GFX 50S Mark II, which is basically the GFX 100S with the original 50S sensor. It's a 50 megapixel sensor, so they didn't bring over the 100 megapixels. It looks and is essentially the exact same body as the 100S. And as I showed you guys before, the GFX 100S is not really marked. It just says GFX on the side door, whereas the 50S Mark II will say that on the side door as well. So if you ever own both of these cameras and remove both of the front doors, there's really going to be no way for you to tell physically on the bodies which one is which. So that's something to think about if you're going to be having two GFX cameras, the GFX 50S Mark II and the GFX 100S. I doubt anybody's going to be rocking two of those, but just in case, remember the markings on the bodies are virtually identical and you're going to have a hard time distinguishing between which one is which. So they brought IBIS into the 50S Mark II, which is pretty amazing. The 100S IBIS is awesome. I'm getting shots at 1/8 of a second, even 1/4, 5th of a second, handheld, sharp, tack sharp with the GFX 100S. So bringing that over to the 50S Mark II is pretty awesome in my opinion, and is a definite selling point if you're trying to get in a medium format and really want to get low light situations. It's not really meant for that a lot of the times with medium format, but again, you have the possibility there. Now, where you're going to be disappointed is if you were going to be utilizing the GFX camera, the 50S Mark II specifically, for video. It caps out at 1080p just as previous models did, so it's not meant for your video enthusiasts out there. So if that's what you're looking for, I suggest moving on to either one of the X cameras, because for video, it's there. It's one of those, if you have to take a quick shot, quick video, if you're on vacation, things like that, it's definitely an option for you there, but it's not going to be something that you're going to color grade and turn into something but again, it is there and it does provide you with 1080p video. Then they brought out a tilt shift lens, which was massive, and they didn't really go into too much details about it, f-stops or anything like that. The only thing is that it looked like a big beer barrel, if you will. It was pretty big. It's a tilt shift. It's going to be incredibly expensive in my opinion. Just tilt shift lenses in general are. So just keeping that in mind, they decided to go first with kind of like an ultra wide for that tilt shift entry for GFX cameras. So look for it to be pretty expensive, but if you do architecture work or landscape wide angle work, the tilt shift lens could be something that is finally on your radar, which might finally bring you over to the GFX lineup. So who knows? They didn't go too much in detail, but again, it's coming. Then they started moving on to the X series cameras. And so they announced the brand new X-T30 Mark II. Then they went into some lenses. They have, you know, kind of with their newer lenses, they're bringing over some faster autofocusing motors, silent motors, great for video and things like that. So they released the 23mm f1.4 and then the 33mm f1.4 as well. All are available for pre-order right now on B&H and Amazon and all your major retailers like that. The 23mm f1.4 is going to retail for $899.99 and is slated to come out late November. And the 33mm f1.4 is slated to be released for $799 and should come out mid to late October. So you've got some lenses coming out here that are going to be that much more faster at autofocus, that much more better for video, photography, obviously, and whatnot. So it's definitely something to keep your eyes out on. So what Fuji is doing here is they're replacing their older lenses with obviously newer technology in these newer lenses, faster autofocus, you know, better for video, cleaning up some things. So it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. If you own some of these legacy lenses that they are replacing, it could be something that you could potentially purchase to replace your older lenses. Going back to the release of the X-T30 Mark II, that camera is going to retail body only for $899.99. It's up for pre-order right now, as I mentioned. And they're also going to release it with one of their kit lenses, the 15 to 45 for $999. So an extra $100 gets you a lens, gets you pretty much ready to rock and roll. Just insert your SD card and you'll be flying with the brand new X-T30 Mark II. It's going to sport a 26.1 megapixel sensor, the X-Trans BSI CMOS 4 sensor. It's going to offer 4K 30 with F-Log. So it's going to be something that if you're just getting into videos, trying to start a YouTube channel, things like that, this is going to be a pretty powerful camera for you to get the ball rolling on your studio and get going creating content for your channel. Then Fuji went on to kind of talk about some lenses that they're going to be going from wide to ultra far. It's like a 100 to 400, I think, or no, 100 to 600, which is on paper like a 170, 180 to like 900, which is pretty awesome if you're kind of like a wildlife bird, you know, animal photographer, things like that. Wildlife, that's a pretty far range. They didn't talk about the Tonys or the f-stops and whatnot. And then they had an ultra wide or a wider, which is at 18 to 150, which isn't really super wide, but they said that that's one of the lenses that they're going to be bringing out as well. So keeping the eye on Fuji and what they're going to be releasing here in the next coming months and years. Those are the two lenses that they started talking about, and we're really excited about bringing those. So we'll see the more specs as it gets closer to launch date for those. 2022 is most likely when those are going to be coming out. And then they teased with a brand new sensor, a back-sided illuminated stacked X-Trans. You know, they went all into it. Most likely this is going to be the XH Mark II or the XH2. One's going to be centric for photography and one's going to be centric for video, which in my opinion, breaking those apart is going to really allow Fuji to concentrate and create an amazing video-centric camera that a lot of us have been wanting and not really going for photography. And I think separating the two decreases like overheating issues, lagging issues, things like that, when you separate the two and not try to cram as much features into one camera to satisfy both the photographer and videographer. So they said 2022 is when they're going to really start focusing on these two, and most likely, as I mentioned, it's going to be the XH2 that's going to be coming out in 2022. So keep an eye out on that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up. What did you guys think of the X Summit in September? Is there anything that you have your eye on? Are you going to be pre-ordering any of these lenses, the camera bodies? Are you going to join the medium format crew and get the GFX 50S Mark II? Are you going to be getting that kit lens? Again, let me know down below. Thank all of you for stopping on by. I greatly appreciate the support, and I'll catch each and every one of you beautiful humans in the next video. Peace.